Live. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Jeffrey Rosales here, back on the TVC podcast. I'm really excited to have an amazing guest today. We always talk about life after service, how once we take off the uniform, service never stops. And veterans are a great example of that as we continue to grow. So I'm really excited today to have on this amazing guest. His name is Senator Todd Young. He's a fellow Marine Corps veteran, attorney, and public servant who has represented the people of Indiana in the U.S. Senate. He's also a fifth-generation Hoosier, having grown outside of Indianapolis, holding down early jobs such as delivering newspapers and mowing lawns, and was instilled with Midwestern values of service and hard work. He graduated from the Naval Academy with honors, and he served in the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah! And he's worked at in policy and top consulting roles himself. He returned to Indiana as well, having graduated his JD from Indiana University. He first entered Congress in 2011, as I understand it, and in 2016 he ran for the U.S. Senate and won successfully. And some of the issues that he focuses on is national security, technological innovation, economic opportunity, and Veterans Affairs, and he has an amazing, beautiful family. Senator Todd Young, welcome to the TVC podcast, sir.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jeffrey. You got a great podcast here, and I couldn't be more privileged than to be with you.
Thank you. So I want to start real quick about delivering newspapers and that early life that you grew up with, because I'm from Fresno, the Central Valley, so I can relate as far as growing up in the country. But I feel that that's always very important, the origin story and kind of how that influenced you today and some of those principles that you carry with you, sir.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you. I agree with you. The background you come from oftentimes really impacts the path you take. And it certainly did in my case. I grew up, it's fashionable, I think, for elected officials to brag about who grew up in the smallest log cabin. And, I grew up in a securely middle-class family with a safe community and great parents and a brother and a sister and went to some decent public schools. And I didn't realize how blessed I was growing up, frankly, until I left home and joined the service and into the Marine Corps. And I recognized in that really diverse Marine Corps we have, there's all kinds of people, some from some really hard scrabble environments, others with some privilege. And, I started to appreciate, man, like I am so fortunate among Americans, and then all of us Americans are really fortunate to grow up in this country. So I had a good foundation of character and service to the local community. That was important to my parents in an understated way, and I know that all of those things really influenced me. And my father in particular really had an indelible impression on me, kind of a larger than life figure. And he used to tell me on a regular basis how fortunate we were to be Americans. And I still believe that. So that no doubt helped me decide to try and serve the country in the uniform. And it's probably without all that background, there's no doubt that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
I love that. You mentioned a couple things as far as your father's influence, your mother, and instilling that sense of American patriotism. And I think it's very important that we continue to educate our youth about that, right? Our future generations. Were there any mentors that influenced you into joining the service, Senator?
No, honestly, my route was a little unconventional. I had a bit of military background in my family. My grandfather was a Seabee in World War II. That made a bit of an impression. My great uncle, he was on a PT boat. So I used to hear about their stories growing up, but my father wasn't in the military service, and nor was mom. No real significant mentors. For me, my outlet as a pretty shy kid throughout high school and even younger ages was athletics. And I played soccer. I got to be pretty good. And the Naval Academy ultimately wanted me to play there at Annapolis. So to be candid, that was a very significant factor in drawing me to the service. And then once I was there, I have to say this seed of public service and community service that my family had planted really started to germinate and blossom. And I became really excited about the prospect of serving ideals and causes that were greater than me and my own self-interest. And so that's something that a lot of people deserve credit for, getting me excited about public service and helping me realize how much I had to offer too. Not every kid is told that growing up. It was reinforced, again, as a pretty understated or a shy kid. It was reinforced by my parents. But, at the Service Academy, certainly in the Marine Corps, I mean, they'll break you down, but they really build you back up too. And you start to gain self-confidence that you got something really important to offer the country and your fellow man. And I believe that. I always say, we don't want everyone to have a supersized ego. Marines are known oftentimes as having some swagger. So there are a lot of Marines with ego out there, but everyone should have enough ego that they think they can make an important difference in the world. And I really cultivated that in the military.
I love that. Maybe this is for a future conversation, but I believe we definitely have to find a way to get those Senator Youngs or Jeff Rosaleses in the backwoods of the country and get them into thinking about public service and the impact that it has on their communities and their families. Because I think that's really important as we get onto that, how we can turn those boys into men and responsible men and to do amazing things. And so I think that's a really valid point. So you went into the Marine Corps, brand new, butter bar. What were those first experiences like?
Well, goodness. I'll be candid with you. I had experiences at Annapolis. I had certain designs on warfare specialties and all the rest, and they kind of changed the rules of the game on me. So I wasn't thrilled in those early stages of being commissioned. Everyone has different experiences. But even that taught me some life lessons. I felt like my character had to deepen to at once kind of fight through some of that disappointment, but also like be the best darn Marine I could and be a good leader of Marines. Like, earn the respect of my peers and of my troops while I was in kind of a difficult spot personally. And, I was by going through that personal experience, and I don't need to get into the particulars. Not everyone has, if they're being candid, the best time of their life in the military. I certainly wouldn't characterize my military experience as being the best, the most enjoyable period of my life. But I'll say this, I learned what service was all about. If service is about you, if service is about your entertainment, if service is about your social life, maybe you're really not testing how much you are prepared to give, a cause that you really believe in, right? So to serve amidst some adversity tests, I think, your character and your spirit of service, and so that was really my experience in the military, and I couldn't be more proud than to be a Marine and to have served with all kinds of people who had their own kind of service journey, if you will.
No, I love that. My buddies of mine that we always talk about those experiences that you alluded to. When you're in the trenches or you're on a field exercise and it's cold and you don't know where you're going through some tough conditions and rains, and then we always look back on those moments and we always like share joy in that, and
Yeah.
some of those tough
Pride
things
in that,
being,
isn't there? There's pride in the adversity. There's pride in overcoming it. And for some, that adversity is grueling physical adversity, maybe in a combat zone, if you're called to do that by your country. For others, it's a different kind of adversity. It's signing up for service, intending to do something very exciting and not having the opportunity. It's entering the service under certain conditions. Maybe it's a bureaucratic misstep, or even a leadership failure that you're on the receiving of. You still signed up to serve. And,
yes, sir.
And there's a certain pride and being your very, very best amidst all of that. And so that's just been, that was my experience, and that's how I think about much of my service.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a testament to your leadership, right? Because I'm sure there were some mentors that probably influenced you to go into the public sector, private sector. Of course, it's amazing that you got your MBA, you got your JD. This is what I love, especially I tell vets who don't take advantage of the GI Bill. I said, you served your country honorably for that. You should definitely take advantage of that. The American people are showing you support by giving you an opportunity to pursue your education. So, and that's something what you did. But I'm curious, why did you decide to go back into public service, having very successful consulting private sector career is what I'm understanding. So why did you decide to go back to the public sector?
I mean, honestly, I missed it. I had this reservoir of kind of service appetite, and it wasn't exhausted yet. In fact, I felt like I had so much more to give. And I also believe that my life experiences between the military, some time in the business world, some time practicing law, they were starting to lend themselves to serving in this capacity. So I was approached by some different people, asked me if I'd ever considered it. And I had not, with great seriousness, considered running for office, but I'd thought about it from time to time. I actually spent a year and a half working for my senior senator from Indiana when I left the Marine Corps, Senator Dick Lugar. He was a chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Navy veteran. Great American. And so my wife was supportive. I had young kids at home, and my wife was, she basically said, as we talked about this, you've got the fire in the belly. Are you going to have that forever? And I honestly didn't know, but I thought I should strike while the iron was hot, jump into the arena, even though I'd never run for anything before. And, candidly, I got lucky along the way in terms of my timing and all the great people who supported me. And we've never looked back.
So a lot of us have, including myself, a lot left in the tank. And I'm glad that you found your next mission, right? Because when we get out, there's that plateau, that transition period where you're like, okay, what's next? I'm no longer Captain such and such, Major such and such. What do I do next? And some veterans do some wildly things that I won't say here, maybe offline. But we know. So what would you say to them, Senator Young? Because I feel that, a lot of veterans should get into, if you will, back into the fight, right? Whether that's advocacy, community service, public office. And I feel like we should increase the representation in Congress. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And maybe a few tips and insights.
Well, one of the things that I think about just time and again, based on my time in the Marine Corps in particular, is just how you are trained for leadership in the military. I don't care if you're a corporal or you're an O3, you're trained for leadership, small unit leadership. And then as you move up through the ranks, you're trained to lead on a bigger scale. So shame on you if you're not finding ways to apply those leadership skills to solve problems, to make yourself more useful to society, etc. And this really applies to varying degrees in different services, regardless of your warfare specialty. You're trained for leadership, and I think you have a certain duty, if you have the skills, you have the background, to give back. In fact, I think everyone, even young children, have a responsibility. A bit of a departure here as I answer your question, but I got 4 kiddos. And my youngest daughter, she's now 15, but several years ago, when she was real small, she's sweetheart, Anna, and she got to know this old lady who lived by herself in the neighborhood. And I encouraged Anna to spend some time with that lady each week, knock on her door, because as I saw it, Anna had the gift of presence. She could serve in a way just as a young kid. So if little Anna had something to offer, gosh darn it, everyone has something to give to solve a problem, whether it's loneliness or not-for-profits. Or so the point there is we need this country was founded. Alexis de Tocqueville has written about this by voluntary associations and people participating. We don't look first and foremost to government for our problems. We look to regular rank and file Americans. And so I think for me, our veterans are tailor-made for continued service throughout their life. In fact, I'm proud of the fact, I know you are, Jeffrey, that the Marine Corps is very emphatic. When we train you to be a Marine, you don't stop being a Marine when you leave the service. You're always a Marine, and that means it comes with certain expectations, obligations, and opportunities.
That's powerful, and I always share this fact. I mean, I don't know if you remember it, but former Secretary of the Navy Ray Mathis gave this amazing stat that another Marine told me. He said 100+ of the Fortune 500 CEOs were Marines, and they were on the enlisted side. I said, "Wow, okay, so JJ did that." Ty Buckle is starting to pay off, right? All those leadership traits, those things that we learned, and I love it because I feel that leadership solves a lot of problems, whether it's bipartisan or like what you're doing with your daughter. I think that's phenomenal because you're exposing her to public service. A lot of times, I think that's what we need to encourage the youth or encourage others, give them that exposure because they can be in their mom's basement somewhere and getting all this information, but let them go touch grass. Let them go do on a field exercise or be on a ride along with you as well, right? Because it's also exposure to like, oh, maybe I want to be a senator one day or I want to be president one day. Yep. I need that exposure. And how do we give kids that, right? I was at a trade show with another Marine who founded it, veteran small business in Reno Valley. And she was just a little older than your daughter. The young girl who gave she was a senior. She gave the national anthem, and it was beautiful. It's phenomenal. But the fact just her doing that in front of Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans, World War II veterans, it gives me hope for the future, Senator. Yep. And I think we have to find a way to bridge the gap between those multi-generations. And I know you're definitely pressed for time. I do want to real quick talk about some of your topics. One thing that a lot of veterans and myself, we talk about is on the business side, and then real quick on housing. So on the business side, I think veterans are incredible innovators, right? Going back to public service. But some of them say they don't know how to navigate the system in that aspect. How can we get them in the fight, right? Because if we want to increase GDP of America to compete with China, why don't we tap into our secret weapon, if you will, America's veterans? Because they are some amazing innovators. So any thoughts on that when it comes to innovation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, our veterans. I'm biased. I've seen Marines innovate out in the field. We get sometimes hand me down and rejected equipment from the other services, and we figure out how to MacGyver things and do more with less. And so institutionally, and part of that's a function of being a smaller, less resourced, nimbler service, but we're used to solving problems, right, in foreign, I use that term generally, foreign environments, unfamiliar environments. That's what innovators do. And so we need to be providing, and this is where the educational support is really important, right? Providing workforce training, providing educational assistance, especially as we move into a more dynamic 21st century economy where training and retraining is going to be important to these people who have a natural aptitude for adjusting to change and helping us adjust to change. So that's one. Number two is we need to make sure that we're rewarding merit in terms of if you're out there working hard, you're playing by the rules. We want our veterans in particular, but also other Americans to be able to afford a decent lifestyle, to honor their citizenship, their participation in this republic that we're all supposed to benefit from together. Right. Then the social contract is maintained. And so part of that right now is housing. And I've focused on housing because it's in addition to childcare, it's one of the chief cost drivers of family budgets. It's not enough for wages to go up and incomes to go up. We increasingly need to be attentive here in Washington to helping people afford the essentials so that they can meaningfully participate in this growing economy. So that's been a real kitchen table issue I've focused on, in addition to a lot of the national and economic security things that have been my points of emphasis in recent years. Semiconductors, shipbuilding is on the horizon, and some other things.
Yeah, I mean, getting to know the Navy a little bit, obviously, how important the mission is in protecting the sea lanes for trade, commerce. I mean, and it sounds like you're definitely doing some amazing things over there with some of the things you're working on. So I'm excited to hear more about that. And I know we're definitely getting ready to wrap up. But I do have one really, really last hard question for you. Will the Indiana Pacers actually win a title next year? You tell me. Prediction.
Well, goodness, I'm not going to predict a title because Reese Halliburton, our star, he suffered that horrible injury in Game 7. I think they would have won one last year had that not happened. But so he's out unless anything changes until the end of the season. But I think they're going to overperform the expectations even in his absence. And I'm hoping they can advance through the playoffs a little bit. In the meantime, there's a lot of excitement in Indianapolis for the Colts. We are definitely overperforming expectations. It is no longer crazy talk to talk about the Colts going to the Super Bowl and winning that thing this year. Come on.
Okay. I'm a Chargers fan, so we'll see. I'll hold you to it. Okay. We will see about that.
All right.
Any final thoughts real quick? And thank you again for the opportunity. Over for final comments.
Listen, your show's great. I hope you'll consider having me back sometime. And I just, I'm so blessed and privileged to be in this position, to have had the opportunity to serve the country in uniform. And I would just encourage everyone out there, if there's one takeaway here, do a little asset assessment. What are you good at? Even if it's something you don't think others would appreciate, look at problems in your community, in your state, in the country, and connect the two. I guarantee there's service opportunities where your talents can be brought to bear, and I encourage you to get involved.
Senator Young, thank you again for your service to the nation, and Semper Fidelis.